We have a lot to get to, 90 minutes to get to it, so we really want to lock in and get right to it. So why don't we continue to do it? I mentioned race in the last segment because it has nothing to do with the substance of the issue, and I didn't mention it, and I was highlighting that. I highlight that for a number of reasons, but to point out that when somebody goes to race, even in celebrating the anniversary of the recognition of the state not being allowed to use race to segregate. If I rhyme one more time, I'm going to sound like Jesse Jackson, and I did right there. All right, but I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, okay, why is this an issue? And we've talked about this ad nauseum. If you go back and you listen to the show, I mentioned my disdain for the hate all-star team, the likes of the Westboro Baptist Church or the KKK or the Black Panthers. They're morons. They're idiots. And some have a bit more of a bloody past than others, like the KKK, with their history of violence. It's disgusting. And I talk about how we're not there. The vast majority of us are sitting here looking at Donald Sterling going, oh, that's a moron. That's an idiot. And our response pretty much universally is bye-bye. The other point to that is we go to what Michael Jackson used to say. You mean his image when he's doing the dance in that, what was it? It's, I forgot what it's called when they put an image up there. Hologram? No, I'm not talking about hologram, Michael Jackson. I haven't really seen that yet. It kind of creeps me out. I don't really want to see it. But I did like some of his songs. I'm starting with The Man in the Mirror. I like that. Winter cold. Don't do it, Crane. Please. Please don't go there. So I like some of his songs, and I also like the idea that I'm not going to spend my life being a color. Woo-hoo, jamon, because I believe in that. Because that's, as God made you, He made me, we made us unique, and yeah, I guess my uniform, if I'm putting it on, or my skin is white, but it becomes tan, but I don't think of myself as, I don't describe myself as Crane Durham, white Christian American. I don't. That's just not it. And if anybody speaks for me because they have the same color of my skin, even if I agree with them on certain points, the fact that they would speak for me based on the color of one's skin, I would say bye-bye. And I think I've said that countless times. And I say it again and again because there's this false narrative of people out there trying to stir up something that's not there. And they're in love with the grievance, but they're not recognizing the progress. Yet they're called progressives, oddly, ironically, isn't it? Ironic, yes. Michelle Obama, speaking to a group of graduating high schoolers in Topeka, Kansas, had this to say about race and Brown v. Education, Board of Education, and the anniversary of that decision, and, well, roll it.
So, when you watch a show like The Walking Dead, you don't think it's about a black guy, a black woman, an Asian guy, a gay couple, and some white people. You think it's about a bunch of folks trying to escape some zombies, right? Period. And then when some folks got all worked up about a cereal commercial with an interracial family, you all were probably thinking, really? What's the problem with that? When folks made a big deal about Jason Collins and Michael Sam coming out as gay, a lot of kids in your generation thought, what is the issue here? Not everyone has grown up in a place like Topeka. See, many districts in this country have actually pulled back on efforts to integrate their schools. And many communities have become less diverse as folks have moved from cities to suburbs. So today, by some measures, our schools are as segregated as they were back when Dr. King gave his final speech. And as a result, many young people in America are going to school largely with kids who look just like them. And too often, those schools aren't equal, especially ones attended by students of color, which too often lag behind, with crumbling classrooms and less experienced teachers. And even in schools that seem integrated according to the numbers, when you look a little closer, You see students from different backgrounds sitting at separate lunch tables, or tracked into different classes, or separated into different clubs or activities.
All right, a couple things here. I edited this speech. It does not change the meaning, but for time purposes. So we're supposed to focus in on color here, okay, and groupings. And because we have these groupings, that's a problem. One thing I'd like to address before we address anything further, if you really want equality in education, have equality to access and support vouchers, support the charter school system, support the parents being able to choose where their kids want to go to school. That's the problem there. I haven't seen The Walking Dead, but I think it's about zombies. I don't know what that serial thing was. I don't get that. And with the homosexuality being an issue, the celebration of homosexuality, and in light of the fact that it's a celebration of something that so many people who love Michael Sam, who love Jason, I don't even remember Jason Collins. Do you? Was he? I'm not an NBA player fan. I know I love Shaq's new ad. A little shake. Yeah, I'm just not into it. But it was the idea of the focus on his homosexuality and that being lauded and somehow equated to the idea of civil rights. And as I've mentioned time and time again, one, love Michael Sam, love Jason Collins as individuals, absolutely. But that doesn't mean I'm on board with homosexuality. I'm not. And that's because I believe it is sin. And I'm not on board with any kind of sin. That's not me judging. That's me pointing up and recognizing it's only through the bloodstained lens of Christ that God sees us, and understanding that. And I am fallen and I am sin, but I with any kind of sin, I'm not going to sit there and say, yeah, that's what I want to celebrate or laud or encourage. Does that make me a member of the Westboro Baptist Church? I don't think so. So do you understand where I'm coming from? I'm analyzing this and I'm trying to pick up, okay, we're not celebrating progress. We're not celebrating progress since then. We're not celebrating the fact that we've had a twice elected black president. If you want to focus in on the color, I don't even like doing that because I think it's silly. And what I mean by silly is the focus on the color. If that factored in any way to voting for somebody because they are of color rather than the content of their character, I think that's silly. I think that's wrong. I would use another word to describe it, but I'm just backing off that word because I just want to maintain family friendly and make sure that I don't push off people. But I think you know what I'm talking about. It's just ridiculous. So with that in mind, she continued, the First Lady, roll it.
And these issues go well beyond the walls of our schools. We know that today in America, too many folks are still stopped on the street because of the color of their skin. Or they're made to feel unwelcome because of where they come from, or they're bullied because of who they love. So graduates, the truth is that Brown versus Board of Ed isn't just about our history, it's about our future. Because while that case was handed down 60 years ago, Brown is still being decided every single day. Not just in our courts and schools, but in how we live our lives.
I'll tell you right now, people are being bullied for who they love. I'm telling you right now, you love Jesus, you are being bullied. I mean, wow! How do you like that one? Woohoo! Oh, you mean the other way, that we all object to anybody being bullied? And that you introduced homosexuality as opposed to bully, and the focus was on homosexuality as opposed to bullying. I think it's really good that we've gone after bullying in general. I think that it was a problem. Personally, I have a different remedy to it. I believe that there's a boxing solution to it. Yeah, I think they should bring boxing back, and I think UFC in some kind of way should be introduced in high school sports. But hey, I know some of you are not ready for that, just like you're not ready for my entitlement plan. Having said that, understand my heart. I am telling you, I say this with love. if somebody were being bullied for one reason or another and it had to do with the behavior of one other, I'll tell you, I would want that to stop immediately. And I oppose that. I think you would too. And so, again, it's the change. If people are being stopped because of their color, what is she talking about? And why is she smearing or painting America in that facet, in that way? Where is the joy and everything of what's inspire people to what? I don't see the same America Michelle Obama sees. And I see the fact that she's using this as a way to make a point to advance a political agenda. And that's frustrating. Deeply, deeply, deeply frustrating, because she knows racism is a sensitive issue. She absolutely knows that. And she even speaks to race being a very sensitive issue. But what gets me is the fact that they keep highlighting something we just can't stand, try to bring it to the present day, and then say, well, people don't really want to talk about it because it's so sensitive. No, people don't want to talk about it because they're called a racist for talking about something that has nothing to do with race. They're talking about behavior. And if we look and not color code things, we can look at behavior, and we can look at behavior and family unit dynamic, and we can speak the truth about it. But if you're Daniel Patrick Moynihan, or if you're or if you're Paul Ryan, or if you're Crane Durham, you're going to be called a bigot for mentioning it because they want to color code it, and they being the left. And it's disgusting. It's ridiculous because it doesn't allow us to solve problems. I want to solve problems. I want to hold people to account, not because I'm mean or because I don't like people who are tanner than I am. In fact, I don't give a rip about that. Said it before. It's like, okay, you want to throw in something. It's just like a non sequitur. It's like, what? What are you talking about? But that's what they have to do, because anytime I'm talking about a race-neutral policy being abandoned by our government, which it has been through the Department of Justice, through Eric Holder's Department of Justice, Eric Holder, who's a liar, by the way, go back. I've charted it. Check the shows. Go back to the Mark Rich pardon. He did not tell the truth. Check out Andrew C. McCarthy's work on that. I tell you that because he's not an honest man, but nonetheless, I sit here and I look at the fact that the race-neutral policy has been abandoned, and somehow we're talking about the specter of racism where people are being pulled over for the color of their skin. Where? Because if that's happening, then what we should do, what should we do? We should have, there would be lawyers calling that out because there'd be money and a civil suit. And wow, people would jump on that. And I'm not talking about race hustlers jumping on it looking for some cash for their organizations or for some publicity. More publicity from the civil rights era or civil rights movement that they've hijacked and gone against with its meaning of being judged by the content of your character. We got to stop this. We just got to stop it and say no more. But how do you start speaking up about something that is so sensitive? Because it's sensitive because you're going to be called something that you're not, and you're demanding accountability, but it doesn't stop the person from using that brush trying to smear you with it. What you do is you just tell the truth and you keep going. And you expose the lunacy of the idea of this being a race issue as opposed to an accountability issue. There is nothing that predisposes somebody because of the color of their skin to one behavior or another. But I'll tell you, if you don't have daddy in the home and you're dealing with a situation where you have a breakdown of the American family, despite the fact that there are awesome single moms out there doing the best job they can do, and daddy didn't do his job, and sometimes that's reversed, by the way. I get that. Mommy didn't do her job. But my point is this. You're going to have a problem, especially when the state tries to exploit that problem and put daddy as the state, because state is a really, really bad daddy. Say it with me. Bad daddy state. Bad daddy. The true daddy, our Father in heaven, who knows, who is our creator, who recognizes it. Crane Durham's nothing but truth.